Lots of people want to talk about what happened at Warriors practice. Oh, my God, we talking about practice. A punch thrown. Draymond Green strikes Jordan Poole, and today a press conference. No suspension for Draymond Green. What are you going to do? Suspend him on ring night? Like, I didn't think that was going to happen. I said, Ray, that I was going to be opening the show today with my idea for the proper punishment. I was going to go with full can of mace. But I did that yesterday. So I've used up all my mace. No, to me, what I think, if you're looking to really send a message to Draymond Green, obviously he's not being suspended. I would take him out of the starting five on opening night. I would have Andre Iguodala get the last opening night start of his career at the 4 with Looney at the 5. I'm starting Jordan Poole to just kind of let Draymond Green know how the wind is blowing around Chase Center, man. Just so you know. Look, important minutes, important games. Draymond, we all know that you are the captain of this defense, and you will get your respect at that point in time. But a little slice of humble pie is a pie that Draymond has been needed to be served throughout his career. He has never really learned the lesson of the taste of that humble pie. So you kind of got to keep serving it to him. Every now and then, that's what I would do. I'd embarrass Draymond in front of the, clutch sports organization that is the Lakers and bench him and not give him a start against boyfriend, LeBron James. And I think that would be a little bit of a shot across his bow that made him realize that, dude, you used to have a place on this team that you may not occupy as much as you think you do right now, and you just need to calm down, dude. Like, that message has been sent to you so many times. To me, what we heard from Steve Kerr today and Bob Myers and an element of Steph Curry, and we'll get into all of this sound in just a bit, they're exasperated. Like, they can't believe here they are again having a press conference about the pile of crap that Draymond Green has stepped in once again.
I think if you try to embarrass him that way, you make the problem worse and you make it last. I think the obvious perp walk will be the presser that he's going to have to do in a couple of days. I think they made it clear today that they're not good with fist diplomacy. And I think the rest of it will take care of itself, because I think what they did today by bringing Curry out onto the podium to discuss a mess that wasn't his is to show everybody that the voice in the room now belongs to him.
We need to see that, though.
Who didn't
know that?
Because he doesn't use the voice much. And I think a lot of people have come to think over the years that Draymond Green is the litmus paper. What they're doing is they're putting Stephen Curry out in front and saying, I know you had nothing to do with this, but we need your moral throw weight. And I think that's probably the lesson that they're trying to teach Draymond is, okay, you're not the only bell cow in the room anymore. It's him. He's going to be more overt about it, and you're going to have to work with that. Because I think if you try to make this a Poole v. Green thing, you start pulling in veterans on one side and rookies on the other, and I think that's the thing.
That. Draymond did.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who made it that. You're trying to quell that. And the only way you can quell that is by bringing in the ambassador to the universe and say, this is who everybody deals with now. I think that's because you're not just trying to teach a lesson to Draymond Green. That's the wrong chase to make. The chase is to let everybody in the room.
Who else needs a lesson?
Everybody in that room needs to know this is not going to be allowed to be generational, because they have fault lines here now. And both Green and Poole have been making that clear in one way or another. Green's failure was in throwing a punch at a guy, which is, very much not the Warrior way. What they did was make it public now that whatever you ever thought about Draymond Green as the voice of this team. They're now saying, no, it's Curry, and he's going to use the voice more.
Don't be fooled by the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, it's, that's the punishment. That's the lesson that's going to be delivered here. And I think it's way more effective than say, we're going to rub your nose in on opening night. Because that's punitive, and it's small, and it's petty. This is substantive, and it means more, and it lasts longer.
I think that Draymond operates on a level of pettiness, though, that he really... he doesn't change his ways, right? There's no... And we coached Draymond Green up to how he needs to behave in this moment. He has learned his lesson. He is a matured 32-year-old veteran that we can count on to not behave like that anymore. I think Draymond has lost a lot of stock with some of the veterans that he was, I think, maybe trying to circle the wagons around and defend against Jordan Poole. And that's what I heard from Steph Curry a little bit today, saying that, hey, he's an important part of our team, but I don't know if Draymond Green is an important part of team leadership anymore. I think you abdicate an awful lot of leadership, and young guys follow me, I know the way when you do this. And what I also think is the best thing that is going to get the Warriors through this is that Jordan Poole's got the scrapple in him, man. Kevin Durant can be taken down and mope on a loading dock with a word. I don't think Jordan Poole is really going to worry about this going forward. I think Jordan Poole has got all sorts of scrapple in him, and he is not going to be a lingering wallflower now because of this. I think that is something that Draymond actually, once he sees it, will develop more respect for Jordan Poole. Draymond doesn't respect anybody who backs down to him. Nobody. And I think that there is a little friction between he and Jordan Poole, who apparently was like one of the Warriors who wasn't at the wedding. I think we got a couple of red asses. I think we got Bonds and Kent.
Okay, you got Bonds and Kent. But Bonds and Kent didn't have Curry. Curry has basically now been promoted to Uber guy.
But he was that to begin.
No. He wasn't that to begin with in terms of being the loud voice in the room and being the guy that everybody, Draymond sort of took that role over. Now, I believe it's been made clear that they expect Curry to be more out front, that he liked to sort of, be Yoda. Now they want him to sort of be that guy. Now you're going to have to fill in some of the gaps that Draymond has abdicated. And that's why they brought him out today. And that's why he said what he did the way he did it. This is now so much more Curry's team than it ever was before, that now even people who thought he was a subtle leader don't get that luxury anymore because he's not going to get to be as subtle as he used to be.
I mean, I understand what you're trying to say, but I thought that everyone who had any idea how this team works knew that Steph Curry was implicitly the 100% leader, and that was before Draymond even showed up to practice yesterday, before he threw the... But like, to me, more vocal, more out front, sure. I guess
that's
so.
What I'm talking about. Because I agree with you. I agree with you about his essential leadership, that he's the North Star. But they're expecting him now to shine more brightly so that the young guys realize, okay, you might have an issue with Draymond, but the structure of this team is basically run by that guy. Now you're going to look to him, and he's not the guy you get to challenge because we won't back your play then.
To me, the single biggest moment of this press conference, and why they had the press conference, I think is worth talking about here in a moment. But the single biggest takeaway of Bob Myers, of Steve Kerr, of Steph Curry was refuting what Chris Haynes reported on Yahoo, saying that Jordan Poole's attitude may have planted the seeds of discontent that led up to this moment. And it wasn't just Draymond who was feeling that, but it was sort of the entire locker room getting rubbed the wrong way by the up-and-comer. And Steve Kerr basically stuck his foot in that and broke it off.
Jordan has been fantastic throughout camp. There was a report that I was made aware of last night. Someone put out there that Jordan had an attitude in camp. Nothing could be further from the truth. He's been fantastic. So disappointing to see misinformation out there, but I wanted to make sure I set the record straight on that. Everything else we will handle internally, and we'll go from there.
By the way, Steve also said Draymond's return.
Didn't practice today. I won't be here tomorrow, and I expect him to return on Saturday and get back at it.
I mean, return on
Saturday.
On Saturday. Humbly showing up, hat in hand? Or is this just 2 days that Draymond doesn't go to practice?
I think you know the answer to that. Draymond Green doesn't joyfully miss practices. It's too close to the start of the season. I think he was told, go home for a couple of days. I think this is the suspension. Just 2 days, you're not going to practice. Think about what's happened here. Think about why we had to do this. And think about what we both told you and told the outside world.
Steph Curry with no mixed signals as to what side he saw this from.
Yeah, there's a specific tweet that was put out yesterday about insinuating that JP's attitude or something has changed since he's been in this training camp or even, whatever time window they're talking about. It's absolute BS. Andre addressed it yesterday with his tweet, and you kind of leave it at that. JP's been great. There's nothing that warranted the situation yesterday, and make that clear. But it's also something that we feel like will not derail our season and what we're trying to build, and that's with Draymond, and as a part of that. So the rest of it, when speculation becomes opinion and turns into borderline fact of what actually happened. So I hate that became kind of part of the narrative, which it's not fair to JP.
By the way, who's the clown show who doesn't know how to use Zoom meetings in 2022? Lady, mute your microphone. Good Lord. What the hell are we doing? Are we got professionals in the room? We're just letting anybody into an NBA press conference with a Zoom invite?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of...
Since you asked.
What the hell's going on these days? 888-957-9570. The blame, big deal, no big deal, the ramifications. What do you think of what happened yesterday at Warriors practice? What is the end game of this moment? This is Joe in San Jose. Joe, thanks for the call. You're on 95.7 The Game.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We got you, Joe.
I think it's an escalation because nothing has been done previously, so Draymond continued to escalate situations, and hitting somebody is just an escalation because it never was. He had so many red lines before that nothing ever was done, so it's going to keep escalating. What do you guys think of that? Thanks for taking my call.
Well, to me...
Things have been done to Green before.
Yeah, he was suspended for an NBA Finals game.
He was the one who took the brunt of the Durant thing. He got either fined, suspended, or both for that. Green's been punished before. This one, though, I think, when they brought Curry out, because I think that's where they show their hand, you're going to have to replace Draymond as sort of the de facto voice for this team. You might have been that internally, but now we need to make that clear in a way that not only Poole knows it, but Kuminga knows it, Moody knows it, Weissman knows it, Patrick Baldwin, all of them. That this is your operation. And while Draymond Green might have abdicated his sort of moral authority here, that guy doesn't. And he is the ace that trumps all other cards, including all of you. So there's your message.
Draymond gets suspended one game for the Kevin Durant thing. And we pretty much don't hear about it from Draymond the rest of the way. I'm sure they told him, you just let this topic float away now. It's gone. But then we had the Draymond, Kevin Durant, after the fact final sit down where the two of them basically say, yeah, this was kind of all Bob Myers' fault. Like Bob Myers was, someone who handled this the wrong way. They should have just left it to you and me to chop it up, and they got in front of it. I think that upset the Warriors a little bit. And if Draymond really feels that way and isn't just acting with bravado in front of Kevin Durant, he didn't learn. He didn't learn. And there's the thing. There are some lessons you can't teach people. How to not snap with anger is a lesson I don't know if Draymond Green can be taught. And in many ways, that is his single greatest attribute as a professional athlete. I've always said Draymond's greatest attribute is the size of the chip on his shoulder, which no matter the amount of success or wealth he has obtained, remains this colossal chip on his shoulder. Jordan Poole's got a big chip on his shoulder, too. And these two chips squared off, and I think Jordan Poole gets to walk away saying, you know what, man? I don't care how many more rings you might have won. From here on out, I'm more professional than you are. I am more of a pro than you are, because the number of guys I've hit in NBA practices is 0. And I wonder if that is actual Draymond's body count, and they just haven't done a good job hiding this. You tell me today's the day Draymond got hot in practice? The only day? Or yesterday, pardon me? No, there's no chance of that.
No,
so
the Warriors have had to do a delicate dance with Draymond Green over the years, which is knowing you can't really corral him without taking away some of his competitive edge, but trying to figure out where the third rail is. And a couple of times he's hit the rail. This was one of those times. And they don't have to make any kind of contractual decisions on either of these guys yet. They'll let that play itself out. But this was their way of saying, this didn't have to happen. And the guy who made it happen, in the end, was Green with the last blow. But I also believe that they are going to bring Poole in, and they're going to say, listen, if you're going to transition into a more substantial role in the room and on the floor, you've got to not talk to your teammates as though they're your enemies either. You've got to figure out that you're part of this, and if we move Draymond sort of out of the way of that for a while, you have a guy that you can't not fully respect in every way, and that's Stephen Curry. He's the guy you look to now. And that's how you're going to learn to be even more of a professional than you already are, because you're not all the way there yet, and maybe you just need a different role model. That's him.
Well, don't take his bait. As much as you're going to want to bow up to him, there's no reason for you to bow up to him anymore, Jordan. Like, we know who you are on this team. We know what you mean to the future of this franchise. And look, you know what Draymond means to the future of the Golden State Warriors? This is undebatable. Less than what Jordan Poole means to the future of the Golden State Warriors. So maybe that's a little bit of a grip on the situation that has made Draymond, it feels like he needs to push back against someone who shouldn't be on his I got to push back against you radar. It's not like Draymond's a two-guard. It's not like Draymond's in the backcourt. He's really not threatened by Jordan Poole's minutes. Maybe the contract thing. I know Bob Myers talked about that. He didn't really get a sense it was about fighting over future pies of money or anything like that.
It does break that way, though. And look, Draymond Green has done the math on this. So has Jordan Poole, because neither of them are stupid. But I think more than anything, what they did was tell Draymond Green, we don't need you to be the hall monitor anymore. We're replacing you with Stephen Curry. We still want you to be you, and we want you to point out when players screw up. But it can't be you v. him or him v. you. All right? Whether the him is Poole or Kuminga or Weissman or anybody, you need to dial it down just a hair.
You know what I love?
Ball up your fist.
You know what I love about this, by the way? There's at least a 25% chance that Klay Thompson doesn't even know this happened. And that's why I love him. That's his importance to the Golden State Warriors.
He first of all, he plays at being unaware, but I think he's acutely aware of this because it does directly impact him. Not in terms of leadership or any of the ephemeral stuff, but some of his minutes are minutes that Poole wants. And that's always been sort of a delicate dance here. Because if Poole wants 30 minutes a game, well, that means that's got to be 15 coming out of Curry and 15 coming out of Thompson.
I think that it's easy to sell to those guys. It's easy to sell.
It's easy to sell to them, but there are going to be times when you need Curry to do 38 minutes. And
that's why you're only going to play 22 tonight, because we're going to bank those minutes for when we need it, and that's what Jordan and Moses
Moody represent. But that's why I say
represent.
It's a delicate dance, and they have to be able to make it clear to Poole. Some nights you're not going to get what you believe are your minutes. Sometimes the game's going to dictate that, and it's not going to be just your performance. Sometimes we need the two veterans down the stretch to do the things that they've done and continue to do. And you've got to learn to be okay with it. Because if this is only about you wanting this to be your team, you're waiting in line. You're still waiting in line because those guys are still here and they're going to be here. And if you need to have your team right now, you might have to rethink where you play. I don't think they want to take it there.
And I don't think Jordan Poole needs that explained to him. You can't be a guard and not understand that you're not Steph Curry, you're not Klay Thompson.
No,
but I think I'd be surprised if he needed to hear that